Hey, hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo of Within the Trenches Media and Within the Trenches podcast, all of it. and We are about to get started with a book reading for Imagine Listening. But first, a quick countdown so that I can share some of this other stuff as we're going along. All right. I just needed this quick 30 seconds there to be able to share from my phone to everything else that's there. So hello, hello, welcome, and I'm excited to be here with all of you today. I have previously done this on TikTok and Instagram Live separately, and I wanted to do this with all of you as well. And it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. And what it is, what we're going to be doing here today in just a moment, because I've got some announcements and some other things that I want to put out there. But one of the things that I've been wanting to do for a while is do an Imagine Listening book reading and share some behind the scenes and a few other things that went into the creation of this book and just the process of all of it. And it was, well, we'll get into what we're going to be doing here today. Is we're going to be doing a book reading and some behind the scenes and such. I'm not going to be reading the entire book. I have some notes and some stuff that I'm going to be doing based off of those notes. Again, it's not going to be the whole book, so don't worry about that. There's only going to be a few different things that I'm going over. But first and foremost, and just in case I end up turning this into an episode for the podcast, this broadcast is sponsored by InDigital, a leader next gen core services. And a big shout out, as always, to subscribers of the podcast, whether they be on Patreon or over on Facebook. So thank you for everything, because honestly, I wouldn't be able to do everything that I do if it wasn't for all of you, but especially all of you who are here and who are watching, listening, supporting, all of that good stuff. So thank you all very, very much. And for those who are watching, for those who are here, throw it in the comments. Where are you? Throw in some reactions. Share this broadcast. Jason, I see that you're here already. Good morning, afternoon to you as well. And I do have a giveaway that I'm going to be doing. So for those who are here, and oh, Char, what is going on? Woohoo! Yep, you did make it. Awesome. Um, so I want to start with this right away. And let me pull this up here really quick for everyone to see. And that is not the one that I wanted to open up. Of course, I would end up clicking on the one that does not need to be opened up there. Seems to happen all the time. There we go. I want the JPEG, not the Photoshop file. Ruth, hello. How's it going? Out of Montana. Erica, what is going on? Columbus, Ohio. Hello, hello to everyone. So, I want to mention this really quick. I'm just going to throw a few things up on the screen here and share a couple links. Bam. So right off the bat, I want to talk about Dare to Be Great 5. Dare to Be Great 5 is coming up December 4th through the 7th. And Sarah Stroud, what is going on? Hello, hello as well. We got Cindy coming in here from Wisconsin. Excellent. We got a lot of people jumping in. This is awesome. Again, please throw in some reactions, throw in some shares of this broadcast as well, whatever platform you're on right now, to share it out there. But Dare to Be Great 5 is coming up. Super excited about that. We've got an amazing lineup of speakers and industry partners who are going to be sharing some of what they have going on as well. So I want to put this in the comments in case you have not registered yet. Remember, registration is free. Okay. Free registration. Excuse me. And if you can't attend live to watch this, make sure to register anyway because oh, Tanya, I'm in Georgia at a class right now waiting for it to start. Woo! Awesome. Hello, Tanya. Welcome. So if you haven't, or I'm sorry, if you're unable to attend live, make sure to register anyway because you will be able to go back and watch them as many times as you want. Unlike some other virtual events that are out there, I don't have a way a time or anything that's there. You know, sometimes there people will say, make sure to register so you can start viewing for the next 2 weeks or whichever, and then it ends. This stays on the platform forever. And then after about a month or so, I'll end up migrating all of DTBG5 to my YouTube channel, and you'll be able to watch it there as well. But for now, make sure to register. Register to Dare to Be Great 5 and share it out there. It's going to be an excellent one, and I am very, very excited. So, another thing with Dare to Be Great that, yes, Joe Serio is awesome. Yes, I am stoked for the lineup of keynote speakers. Don Shumway, amazing. Tracy Ertl, amazing as well. And Joe, all of them, you're going to enjoy this. It is going to be excellent. And again, it's free for everyone to register, even if you're not in public safety or if you have friends who are thinking about possibly getting into dispatch. Send them to Dare to Be Great and they can check out some of the stuff that's going to be there. You'll dig it. Now, one of the other things as well that I want to mention for Dare to Be Great 5 is that, you know, for a long time, um, for a long time, I was using Discord. Okay. I was using Discord for everyone to be able to join. Now, it wasn't just for um, patrons or anything like that. This was to be able to have attendees, speakers, industry partners, everything come together and connect beyond the virtual event. So, one of the issues though was that Discord wasn't the easiest thing for everyone to jump onto. Plus, notifications kind of sucked. I mean, you had to fix your own notifications, right? But sometimes it wasn't, it was all right. So I'm switching it. So this right here on the screen is a look at what this now what I'm migrating to. So this new platform is called Circle. And basically the way I can explain it is if Slack and Discord had a kid, Circle would be what it is. It has a mobile component, whether it be for Android or iPhone, and this is a community building platform. And I'm trying to switch everything from Discord over to this so that all of you will be able to fill out your profiles and everything to be able to connect beyond Dare to Be Grade 5. A lot of times in the chat, people are talking and everything like, oh, how do we get a hold of you? Oh, here's my email. Not everybody wants to put their email out there in a chat that everyone will be able to see. So if you sign up over here, which is free as well. So if you sign up for within the trenches media community through Circle, you can go there and you can connect with each other, and there are many different things that you can do as well. So I've got just over 50 people already that are registered in there, but this is what it looks like here. And so I'm going to put the link in here so all of you can have it, and you can just copy and paste through there, or if it's a link already, just simply click on it. But that right there is what it looks like. On the left, you have all these different spaces. You sign in. Make sure to use your actual name, please, so that people can actually find you, and your picture as well. And the other reason for building a community this way is because not everyone is on Facebook. Not everyone is on Instagram. Not everyone is on LinkedIn. I have people who follow Within the Trenches Media throughout all platforms. So what I wanted to do was try to bring everyone together for concentrated, focused conversation, not just on 911, but a bunch of other things. As you see on there, there's, spaces for music, movies, and TV and games chat, random stories, inspiration, health and wellness, so many different things. Also, all the stuff for Dare to Be Great, for Within the Trenches Media, whether it be the Flagship Show podcast, Open Mic Live, or the Dispatchers Roundtable. And then if you are a subscriber of the podcast, you get there's a private hangout there for all of us as well. So just wanted to show that so that you can see it. And please make sure to sign up. It's free, and I'm going to be hanging out there mostly so that can really build that community. A couple more things here before we start this book reading. I have to show this off. So back in 2013, I was designing all kinds of things and trying to make t-shirts out of them. There were a small few who got this specific design that I'm about to show you, but also that's when Emergency Whiskey, Dispatch Cola, and all Dispatch Coffee, all those other ones I brought out. That was 2013. And there was another one that I did that was a nod to one of my favorite candies, which is Skittles. And instead of Taste the Rainbow, I made it Dispatchers Taste the Sarcasm. So here's the shirt. Came out pretty good, man. It's I have 2 different kinds, one is a heather red, and then another is like a deeper red. But, love this shirt, came out very well. This one I did not print myself. This one is a different, is a third party company where they do, like, all kinds of different things. I'm still screen printing, yes, but the screen printing that I'm doing is single color, and that is because it takes a lot of time to dial in doing, as you can see back there, if I did these multiple colors, I would be using probably 6 of those, and I only have 4 of them. So, for some of the ones that are multicolored like this, I'm using that third party. But for the single colors and everything, I'm still doing all that by hand here, as well as the hats and everything else that I do, I'm doing that as well. But as some of you saw, I now have these Dispatch Zombie Squad mugs, Daughters of Dispatch, Sons of Dispatch, and then one more thing that I just got today, and I wasn't sure if it was how it was going to turn out, but it turned out amazing. And that is the new I Am 911 journal. That's right, I said journal. A lot of times when I do my talks, I ask people, "Do you have a journal? Do you have something where you write down your calls?" Especially those wins, because a lot of that is therapeutic. And when you've taken a hard call, you can always go back to that journal and read some of those wins. Or even if you're writing down some of those hard calls, it's good to be able to get it out that way. For me, in the beginning, that is what really, really helped for me to get my calls out, and that was writing it. So here it is. It's all in black. And that logo is that's my tattoo. And then on the back is this right here. It came out really, really good. And I don't remember how many pages, but it's lined and you can easily tear out the pages as well. So, boom, there it is. This is going to be available on the store in just a few hours. Okay. Once I'm done doing this book reading, this journal, along with this shirt, will be available on the store and you'll be able to purchase it. Holidays are coming up, but also National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, just stuff to think about. But there it is. There's the journal, and I am super happy. I mean, it is awesome. So again, that is going to be available on the store, and That'll be in a few hours because I have to get through this first. And I see that people are digging it already. Loving the shirt, loving the journal. Excellent. Yes, I'm glad you all love it as well. Um, just wait till you have it in your hands. Even more cool. Yes, very much so. All right. Looking back at my notes here really quick. So I've got one last thing. Okay. I promise. One last thing, and then we'll jump into this. So my website right now, withinthetrenches.net. If you have gone to the website recently, you probably have noticed that there is something wrong. Okay. Now let me tell you really quick. The links, all of the links work. Everything is there. But for whatever reason, and I already got a hold of Squarespace, but for whatever reason, my homepage is gone. Obliterated. If you go to it right now, it just shows the menu bar and the footer. The whole main page gone. I got a hold of Squarespace and they're like, "I don't know." Basically is what happened. They said, "Can you tell us like what all you had there?" Or and I thought, "You can't just recover it?" I mean, there's got to be a backup somewhere. So, as of right now, it is completely gone. But the rest, all the other links, everything else is there for the website. So you can go to it. You won't see anything that's out front, of course, but like the about, contact, all of those links, the conference, everything is there. I was going to, excuse me, I was going to have them try to find everything needed to pull it back together. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to take this as a moment to redo that whole thing. It shouldn't take me too long, but I just wanted to let all of you know, just in case you went to it and were wondering what the hell happened. That's what's going on right now. Okay. So, for those who are watching and listening, if you don't know who I am, my name is Ricardo Martinez, and I'm the founder of Within the Trenches Media, also the founder of the I Am 911 movement, and I'm the creator and host of Within the Trenches podcast, True Stories from the 911 Dispatchers Who Live Them. I was also an industry partner. I worked for in digital for about 8 years or so. I spent 13 years in dispatch before that, before all of that stuff that I just said. For 13 years, I was a 911 dispatcher and on the line supervisor. And then left, became an industry partner, and everything I do for a living just started to evolve. So that's where I come from. And today we're going to be doing a book reading on Imagine Listening. We're going to be going through some behind the scenes. We'll do some Q&A if you have any questions or anything like that, and just kind of tell you about the process, what went into all of this, but also some updates and everything. So before we get to that, I want to play this for you really quick, and let me switch the audio here so that you'll be able to hear it, and we'll jump right in.
Have you ever met a 911 professional and asked, "What's the worst call you've ever taken?" Well, here's your answer. I heard your last breath the night you flipped your four-wheeler. I tried to call you the day you committed suicide by driving your car into a tree. Blue face, cold to the touch. I helped you with CPR after you found your infant face down, not breathing. It messed me up. I did everything I could, but it wasn't enough. You were with me from the beginning, Grandma. 27 years later, I took the 911 call when you died. How fitting to be there for me in the beginning, and I was there for you in the end. I miss you, Grandma. I am 911. This is but a glimpse into the world of emergency dispatch. But what is it really like to answer a call during someone's nightmare? What is the impact on the first responder answering the call? From Titletown Publishing, and available on Amazon or where you purchase your favorite books and ebooks. Imagine Listening. Your worst day is our everyday.
Oh yeah. Now, I love that. Um So that's the book trailer. That's the book trailer that I created for, Imagine Listening, and I wanted something like, so those videos that you see in there, those relate to those stories that I'm talking about in there, and I was really happy to put that together. Like, I just thought there I have to do another, because I had done, like, the pre-order trailers and stuff, and then I thought, "Well, now I need to do an actual book trailer for the book." For book 1, I'll definitely have one for book 2 when, as we get closer to it, but that's the end result, right? This is the end result. But how do we get there? So, let's go back in time. Let's go to 2016. But also to remind all of you that everything that I do now, it was all a result of, me kind of struggling, in dispatch with the calls that I was taking and not really having a lot of resources or people to talk to. Like, nobody was talking about it. There was this stigma, right? That if you asked for help or anything like that, you looked weak. And I just buried my calls. And it took just finally not caring what other people would think, and to start writing about it and start talking about it for everyone else to start doing the same as well. And that was a big part of my healing process, my own form of closure in a way, by writing these stories first, my own stories, putting it out there for people to read them. And I remember when I would put them out there, when I would blog about it and I would put it out there, I would think, man, I don't know how people are going to take this. And then I thought, I don't care, because it was therapeutic for me to do it. And I just wanted others to know what it was really like for us on our end, that we're not just answering the phone, we're not just sending help. There's so much more that is going on. So I continued, and I continued to share stories and had other dispatchers come on and share their stories. And it just evolved and got bigger and bigger. And people started to learn from all of you and your stories. And I hope all of you have really thought about what it is that you do or what you've done, and that you all know how important you are, because you do a job that not a lot of people can do. And you should be recognized for it. So that was one of the big things in what I was doing, was not just sharing a part of me, but also hoping to, well, one, leave a mark, some sort of mark on 911, do something to be able to leave it in a better place than what I found it, and just hope that by the power of storytelling, that we would all be able to come together and learn from each other, along with those out in the field and the general public as a whole. And what happened was that millions of people from around the world found out what it's really like and have a new appreciation for each and every one of you who answer that call. If it wasn't for you, a lot of people wouldn't get that help. If it wasn't for you, I also wouldn't be where I am right now. So I'll right away thank all of you for your support and your trust in me to share your stories. It's been an amazing experience, and it's one that I will always love and cherish, and all of you, the utmost respect for you for what you do. So thank you. So then in 2016, both of the big organizations, APCO and NINA, were fighting for your reclassification, which, if you didn't know yet, or just last week, the 911 Saves Act was reintroduced by Torres and Fitzpatrick. And it's starting up again. So make sure to get out there and write to your reps to have them support this, because it starts out with that recognition first, right? Down the line, eventually, benefits and everything else will start to go into that as well. But first is that recognition part. And we can do this. We just got to keep pushing. So 2016, all of these different things were getting shared out there, and one of the things that they were looking for were stories. I'd already been sharing stories for a few years, and I wanted to assist somehow. I wanted to raise awareness. I wasn't trying to have people send their stories to their reps or send them to those organizations. What I wanted to do was to share stories through my network to raise awareness for reclassification, which we did. And that was the birth of the I Am 911 movement. And it exploded, went all over the world. On Facebook alone, at the time, I've got a video out there, there was over 34 million people engaging with your stories. That's how big this got. And I continue to share stories daily, but that's where all of this started. And what started as a way to raise awareness for reclassification, though, quickly turned into peer support. And that's where we found out even more about each other, by sharing these stories, because a lot of people started to realize that they are not alone, that it's okay not to be okay, that we can actually look to our sisters and brothers of the thin gold line for help, because we understand each other. We know what it's like. And really, the talk for mental health and wellness has continued from that time and has gotten bigger and bigger, and more people are recognizing it. More people are just realizing how important your job is and how difficult it is, how stressful it is. So we continue sharing those stories. What I wanted to do from there was I wanted to share the stories to an even bigger audience. I wanted to make it part of the podcast. So what I started doing was maybe once or twice a month, I had a side segment that was part of the podcast, but I called it Imagine Listening. And what I would do is I would get those I Am 911 stories that were sent in, and I would read them. I would read them in the episode so that people would hear more of those stories. And I called it Imagine Listening because I wanted those listening or even reading them in the photo album to do just what the title says. Imagine listening. Something like this. Imagine listening to this sort of call. Imagine listening to that. That's where that comes from. Just simply imagine. And those episodes blew up because people were, again, learning even more so what it is that you do. And people saying, I had no idea. I thought they just answered the phone. Nope. So then I started working on a session for conferences of the same name, Imagine Listening. And what I wanted to do was to have those attendees there in the room say their own personal I Am 911 stories out loud. And I wanted to record them because it was powerful to have them written out, right? Or to have me read your words, but to have your own voices during those sessions, even more powerful. And then the last 30 minutes of that session would be open mic, where we share the lighter side of Dispatch, where we share the funny stuff. So we're going into 2017, and I had submitted this for the conference in Indiana, and they accepted it. And I was excited and crazy nervous because I didn't know how this was going to go. That session depends on the audience. If there's no audience participation, it's just me talking and I can fill in the hour, but that's not what Imagine Listening is. And if you have been in an Imagine Listening session, you know exactly what it's like. You know how powerful it is. It's hard for me to explain what it's like in that room during those first 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes, because there's so many people who want to share stories. But it's powerful. And you can just feel the energy in there. And those are recorded as well for episodes that go out. So we get to that day, and my good friend Rob was going to be up there on stage with me. And I remember we're sitting there and he's saying, how do you think this is going to go? And I said, I don't know, man. I said, I don't know if people are going to want to share because people don't always want to share, right? It's like being back in school and you have to get up to read a poem or something like that, something that you have memorized or whichever. And no one wants to go first. Nobody wants to be the first one. But after the first one, then more people want to participate, right? Or at least they feel more comfortable. So we're sitting there. I explain what we're going to do. And at the time, I was giving out an I Am 901 challenge coin along with the lapel pins, which, just so you know, for 2024, those challenge coins are coming back. And they are exclusive to the Imagine Listening session. So we start, and I ask, who has a story they want to share? It was just crickets. Not one person wanted to share. And I remember Rob kind of looking at me and smiling, and he goes, "So what now?" And I had to think quick. And I said, "How about this? If you would rather write it down and hand it up here so that we can read it for you, do that instead." And almost everyone, like a lot of people, a good chunk of the room started ripping paper and handing paper to other people, and they were writing and writing and writing. And then one lady stood up and she said she wanted to share a story out loud, and she did, and it was very emotional. She was crying, but she got it out. And another person wanted to say one out loud, and another person, and it just kept going and going and going. And it was exactly what I was hoping for, exactly what I was hoping would happen with the session. And then, of course, we end up having the lighter side, the open mic part, and that was just hilarious. But that first time, I wasn't sure how it was gonna go. But now we fast forward to 2023, and I've been doing those Imagine Listening sessions over all these years, and every one of them has been just an amazing experience. Very emotionally charged, but one that you won't forget. And if you're in the audience, if you're watching this right now and you've been in an Imagine Listening session, please type in your thoughts of that session as well. So for years, from the time of the birth of the I Am 9 movement in 2016 to the Imagine Listening episodes and then sessions that started in 2017, people had been asking, will this ever be a book? Because a lot of people were saying, I would love to have something physical, something I can hold on to be able um, to give to friends or family, people who were asking questions. And I've had this book done for 2 years. You heard that right. Imagine Listening has been completed for 2 years. However, when it came to publishing the book, a lot of friends were telling me, "You can just self-publish it, man." And I was looking into it, but for me personally, I felt as though, and this is complete honesty, I have no idea about this industry or enough to be able to self-publish and really do a lot of different things. So I started looking into publishers to see if I could figure that out, if I could find somebody, someone I felt comfortable with. And I had talked to a lot of people, and I was comfortable with those that I spoke to. But still, something didn't feel right. And then I ended up having a conversation with a good friend of mine, Mr. Joe Serio. And we were talking about this book. And he asked me, like, when do you think you could have it done? Just in general, we were talking about this. And I said, it's been done, man. It's been done for 2 years. Just something hasn't felt right. It's just felt off. I don't know why. Timing just isn't right. So we were talking about it and everything. And then he says, do you know anything about Tracy Ertl? And I said, Tracy Ertl. I know we've met, but I don't know a lot about her. I know that she has a training company, Hero Light Training, but I'm not sure about anything else. And he goes, you should talk to her because she has her own publishing house and she was in media for years before being in public safety. And she's been in public safety for years as well. And I thought, yeah, I'll send a message to her and just see. So I did. I sent a message to her and she sent me a message back right away, like right away, and said hello and that she's been following a lot of the stuff that I do for a while now and has wanted to work with me on something. And we set up a time to talk on the phone to talk about Imagine Listening. And I shit you not, in just the first few minutes talking to her, I feel it right now, and it makes me a little emotional because I knew it was time. I felt it. It was time finally. This was the person that I had been waiting for, that I was hoping to find to be able to publish my first book, to put some care into your stories and want to do this together the way I had really envisioned putting it out there. And we got to work right away. So Tracy's publishing house is Titletown Publishing. And her right hand, Lori, both of them have been amazing. Their team, just all of it. We started working fast. Now, if you don't know, it usually takes 1 to 2 years to publish a book because there is so much that goes into it. Luckily for us and for me and for all of you who have the book now, I had the book done already for 2 years. The complete layout, all the graphics, everything was done. So we were able to really push it fast to get out there. But of course, with everything, there are some setbacks. So, and this wasn't really a setback, this was more me, but also for a good reason. And this is what it was. So I had everything done, but when I started looking at the images again, I thought, what if the pictures that were sent in have copyright protection? Because you can't just take a picture off of Google Images or something that you search for and claim it as your own. If you look if you type something up through Google and you're looking at images, when you click on it, usually on the right side, it'll show the image, where it comes from, and it'll have a disclaimer on it that says this image might have copyright protection. So I started to think about that, and I thought, damn, what if some of these images do have that? So what I ended up doing, and this was probably about a week and a half or so before, um, a week and a half before the deadline for everything that needed to be sent in. Because once the graphics department and everything else, once they got it, it was going to be really hard to make any changes. So they were letting me know, you need to make sure you have all the revisions done that you need, because after this, want want. So this is what happened. For 4 days, I locked myself in this room. 4 days. I woke up super early in the morning and worked all the way for 12 hours at some points, like 6 to 6, 7 to 7. And then I would go downstairs, have dinner with the family, and as soon as everybody was asleep, I'd come back in here and start working again until really late. And then I would do it again. Again, 4 days I did this. The reason is because I didn't wanna have any issues with these images. So, I redid the entire book. Now, when I say that, I'm talking about the images only. The text that was sent in for those stories and the ones that had pictures already, all of the text remains the same. The stories are the same. The stories are original. It's just the image that I had to change because I have a subscription, a license for royalty-free images. But here's the thing. This is what made it so crazy and something that not a lot of people know. I wanted to do my best to maintain the integrity of the original stories that were sent in. So what I did for those over 130 different pages worth of stories, I had the original on one side, and then I was searching for pictures that were as close as possible to the original. And then I put the text, the story on the new image. Now, I went a step further. Because I'm a design nerd, I know a lot of different fonts just by looking at them. So I went as far as finding the same fonts that the text was used and put it on the new one for the book. Also, some of those images that were originally sent in, the quality was not that great, so it would not have looked good printed out for the book. So a lot of those I had to redo as well. But the stories remained intact, original. Some people ended up sending messages to me saying, there was a couple of stories that looked like they had some typos. It's because they were sent in that way. And that is how much I wanted to keep that original story. It was just the way they sent it in. Now, I might do something different for the next book, but for this original one, that is how far I went. And after every day, I was out of it. Because I'm going through over 130 different stories, reading them and putting them together, looking for images that are almost exactly the same, looking for fonts that are almost exactly the same to again keep the integrity of that original story. That's probably nuts. People are probably are thinking, dude, you're crazy. But you know what? It was worth it. And that's how important it was to me to keep as original of a story as it was for the person who sent it in because it was important. But that's what I went through for it. Was those 4 days, man. That was crazy. But again, it was so worth it. So worth it. So looking at the book, if you have this book, you can follow along as well. But I want to share page 7, which is one of my personal stories. And actually just a few days ago on the 11th was the anniversary of this story that I'm going to read. So it says, "You were with me from the beginning, Grandma. 27 years later, I took the 911 call when you died. How fitting to be there for me in the beginning, and I was there for you in the end. I miss you, Grandma. Hashtag I am 911." So, with that one right there, that one was hard for me in a way, mostly because the original story, the original meme that I put together, it's a picture of my family, and I'm gonna put this on the screen right here. So this is the original. That picture, the person on the left is my grandmother, and to the right of her are my siblings, my younger brother and our younger twin sisters. This is the original, and I was going to keep the original. However, the quality of it would not have printed out as well. So instead, I I went and picked a different picture. As much as I wanted that original one on there, I ended up doing a different one. Now, here's the crazy thing. When I went looking for the picture that would, associate with this story that had to do with my grandmother, this is the first image I saw. And I knew at that moment this was the one because my grandmother, those look like her hands. The way she's sitting, all of it looks almost like her. It was just meant to be, man. This is the first picture I saw. This is the one that I chose. It felt right. But that's the one that I used. That was the one that came up. Now, again, if you have the book, page 39 is another one of my personal I am 911 stories. And it says, "Blue face, cold to the touch. I helped you with CPR after you found your infant face down, not breathing. It messed me up. I did everything I could, but it wasn't enough. Hashtag I am 911." And this story, this specific story here, one thing that I'll always remember about that story, of course, the entire call, I remember it like it was yesterday. But what I needed at that time was to know that I did everything in my power to help that family, that there was nothing left to question, that there was nothing else I could have done. And I will always be grateful to EMS and the sergeant for making contact with me because After that call, I remember sitting there and I looked over at my supervisor at the time. At that time, I wasn't a supervisor yet, but I looked over and she says, "Are you okay?" And I'm sure all of you know exactly what my answer was. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine. But I wasn't fine. And I sat there and phone call comes in and it's EMS calling for their times and numbers. And they asked for the person who took that call. I pick up the phone, say this is Ricardo, and they told me how good of a job that I did. That when they that when they got on scene, that the family was doing textbook CPR, but also that there was nothing that I could have done because that infant had passed way before the call. And then the sergeant came up and sat down next to me and asked what I needed. And I told him that I needed to know everything. And he told me. So again, I will always be grateful to you for the gift of closure because I needed that. And we don't always get that. We don't always get that closure. I was very fortunate to have gotten it that day. And I remember going home and my son, who's 19 now, at the time, I think he was like 4. That's how long ago it was. I remember going home and hugging him really tight to the point where he kind of winced. He was like, "Ugh." And I remember him asking if I was okay, and I said, I'm okay. I just had a hard day at work." But I'll always be grateful for that gift of closure because I really needed that, and it really helped. Now, going along in the book, page 45. Page 45, I wrote something out. It was something that I wrote years ago, and it was because someone asked me a question. They got a hold of me and asked me a question, and this is what it was. Someone once asked, "Can you tell me what it is like to be on the receiving end of a 911 call?" And I gave them my response. Now, I'm not going to read this. You can read this when you can because it's a call that I took and I put everything in there. Everything I heard, everything that was said, and what I remember from it. My side of it, of course. And with that call, it had to do with, um, I'll just say that at the end, the only thing that helped me was talking to my brother. I needed to hear his voice. And just by saying that, you probably know what call I'm talking about. But this is on page 45. One thing that I don't know that I have ever really mentioned before was that the person who reached out to me and asked me that question was someone who wrote for Reader's Digest. No shit. Someone who worked for Reader's Digest, they were putting together an article about 911 calls, and it was about crazy and outrageous ones. And they were asking me a bunch of other things, which is why I sent them the one that I sent them. And they were blown away by it for one, but two, they said, "Oh, we can't print that." And I said, "I just wanted you to know what it's like because you asked." Now, I did give them a few funny calls, which they did use. You can find it. It's like a top 50 stories or something like that from Reader's Digest, and that one's from years ago. But that is what page 45 is all about. That is who reached out and asked me about it. Now, one of the other things is that I didn't really think about when I was doing all of this, but also at the beginning of the birth of the movement was the different people who were sending in stories. It wasn't just dispatch. It wasn't other field responders. I mean, some of them did, right? But also callers. Callers were sending in their side of the story and saying thank you to all of you. That was probably one of the most amazing parts of this as well. So, page 65, the story says, I am alive today because of a 911 dispatcher. She spent a good amount of time talking to me about life. And after a while, I put the gun down. I would have committed suicide if not for her. That's how important of a job it is that you do. You might not always know the impact, but it's out there. You're impacting lives. It's just like my good friend Gary Hill says. It's about those ripples. And sometimes, it doesn't always happen, but sometimes it comes back full circle. Moving on from there, one of the other harder things was getting stories from people that you know. And I know, to a point, every single person who's written in a story because I have them in the inbox. You'll never get their names. You'll never know who they are. But some of them are people that I know personally, are people that are just great human beings, and I've known them for years. So this next story, it says, I took the call when your wife stopped breathing. I'll never forget you pleading with her to not leave you. I'll never forget dispatching EMS to our address for your wife and my mother. And it's a good friend of mine who wrote that one in, and I had no idea until this person submitted it. And then we talked face to face, I think it was, and the person told me that was their story, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea." But every time I see it now and I see this person, I just embrace them. I'm so glad that they had the courage and just everything, willingness to be open and vulnerable and share that story. These are important stories. These are your stories. They're getting out there for people to read or to listen to and to learn and to appreciate what it is that you do. Now, the back cover, I wanted the back cover to have something so that if someone ever picked up this book off a shelf, a lot of times people look at the front and then they look at the back. And a lot of times people read the back cover, and I wanted the back cover to have a strong, powerful story. And this one gets me every time. And it says, I had to listen to your last words over and over again to find the information that would lead us to your killer. You were one of my officers that night, and a part of me died with you. P.S. We found him. And I think that's the part that gets me the most is that right there at the end. It's that P.S. We found him. And I do want to mention the cover itself. If you've ever wondered, if you've not heard me mention it before, the reason I did the cover the way I did is because after every Imagine Listening session, I will take all of the written stories and I'll take a picture of them and share it. And I shared This was one of the early ones that I shared. And my brother sent me a message and he goes, "Man, if you ever turn this into a book, that should be part of your cover. That would make a really cool cover." And that is where it comes from. So, bro, thank you. I love you, dude. So, that is where all of it comes from. That's where Imagine Listening started. Those are some of the behind the scenes of the things that went into putting this book together to the point where I locked myself up for those 4 days just to make sure to keep it as authentic as possible from those original stories. And I'll be doing the same thing when book 2 comes out. So, before we get to the giveaway and wrap this up, there it is. That is the book cover for Imagine Listening, Your Worst Days Are Every Day, book number 2, volume 2. That's right. Volume 2, man. And I am super excited. I'm going to throw this in the comments already for everyone. I mean, don't skip out on book 1. Make sure to purchase book 1 as well, but book 2 is available for pre-order now. And you can pre-order it on Amazon, on actually everywhere. Any retailer that you can think of, you can pre-order it now. So volume 2 is out there. And if you look at the cover here, the cover, I wanted to have something cool for the cover. So in the beginning um of book 1 is that picture. And I wanted to make that the book 2 cover. Again, these are just the first 2 books in a series of books that are going to be coming out. You're going to find out more and more about book 2 as we go along. But again, book 2 is on the way. Now, here's the cool thing about this as well. I'm going to switch this. There we go. So book 2. Well, let me say this first. Really quick. The I Am 911 movement. I launched it August 24, 2016. And this was just after the National APCO conference in Orlando. Okay. So, coming this August, August 4th of 2024, this book is going to launch at the National APCO conference in Orlando. We couldn't have planned it any other way. How awesome is that? Full circle. I am excited beyond belief because it's all happening in the same place, same location, event, but now just years later. August 24th, 2016, the movement was born. August 4th of 2024, book 2 for Imagine Listening comes out. So pre-order now, get ahead of it, and look out because book 2 is coming up. And I'm just so excited, but also to be able to get this out there for everyone. And right now, even for book 1, people are purchasing book 1 for friends and family or to have at their dispatch centers. There are, if you have academies, like there are some academies that are looking at the book as well to be something that people read when they get in there, or not just that, for state representatives or county reps or whatever to learn more about what it is that you do. That is the type of stuff that people are doing with book one right now. So again, book one is out there. We've got, I don't know, 700 left of the second print run. I'm trying to get those all sold out by January 1st of 2024. And then, of course, book two is going to be out there, and it's going to be a hardcover like this. It's going to be a hardcover, and super excited for all of it. And also, eventually, book one will also be an audiobook. And I know a lot of people are excited for that as well, because people have been asking, is it going to be on Audible? Is it going to be on, wherever, audiobooks are? It will eventually. And it will soon. And I will update all of you as soon as I get more information. But it's all of it. I'm so very excited. Keely says, "Are you reading it?" No. I won't be the one reading it. I would love to. I would love to be the one to do the actual reading for all of it, but there are some other parts of it that there Keely says, "Damn it." That's what I said too. However, there's a process, but also the editing and some of the other stuff that's going to go into it is stuff that I won't be able to do because this is the company is it's a different company and stuff. But we get say on, like all of it. So don't worry, it is going to be awesome. And you will all hear more about it as we get closer. But again, you've got book one that's out right now. Please make sure to pick it up if you haven't yet. We've got holidays coming up, all that good stuff. And then two, the audio version will be coming up. And then we've got book two available for pre-order everywhere. And also, Imagine Listening ebook is already out there too. So make sure to check all that stuff out. Again, super excited about all of this. Ruth says, "Well, then I hope they use lots of different voices." Like I said, that'll be something that we'll be working on to try to figure all that out. And who knows? You never know. I might be the one who does it in the end. Excuse me. But as of right now, I won't be the one that's actually doing it. But you never know. It's everything changes. You never know. But I promise you, it'll be awesome. So don't worry about that. Um, Jason says, "I know it's cheesy Hollywood, but the people from the 911 shows." Oh, yeah. Like I said, I will find out more information and you will all know. If you're a subscriber of the podcast, you'll know first, of course, as always. But again, Imagine Listening, Your Worst Day is Our Everyday. Volume 2 comes out. Available for pre-order now, anywhere and everywhere that you get your books. And then it'll launch August 2024. Woo! Oh, Sarah Stroud says, "I just hate we got to wait so long for book two, but I can't wait." You and me both. I mean, I'm putting it together, right? I'm putting it together and everything, but yeah, I'm the same way. But here's the cool thing though, and this is what's awesome. With book one, we didn't have a lot of time for a lot of marketing, a lot of sales stuff on that end to be able to have like the physical book when or in those stores. It was all online. And so many people pre-ordered and everything was going so fast that we ended up having to push that official date to July 24th. And I'm talking about book one right now. We had to push it because we had to be able to um, make the logistics work right for the amount of people who pre-ordered. Like I said, book one is already towards the end of its second print run, which is amazing. So doing book 2 this early will give us tons of time to have it all put together and have all the logistics already completely done and all the other stuff that goes into it. But plus to be able to have like the physical books in different stores. So thank you, all of you, for everything and the support. Again, the trust in me sharing your stories, just all of it. Thank you so, so much. And now for the book giveaway. Thank you for being with me throughout this whole time to hear some of the book reading, the behind the scenes, the stuff that went into putting all of this together. The fact that I didn't sleep much at all. But it was worth it, man. It was worth it to be able to um make sure to keep those stories as authentic as possible. It was all worth it. So 2 giveaways, okay? And it's going to be super simple, which is why I didn't put anything out for people to be able to sign up for, any of that stuff because this is going to be super simple and it's for everyone who is currently in the audience right now. All right? So this book bundle, one, of course, comes with the book of Imagine Listening. It'll also be signed and personalized. You also get an I Am 911 wristband. You get an I Am 911 patch. And you get an I Am 911 lapel pin. This is the book bundle. Okay. So here we go. The first 2 people to type in I Am 911, you win. That's it. Let's see what happens. And I'm looking at the audience right here. Oh, there we go. There's the first 2. Oh man, now they're all coming in really fast. Oh, perfect. All right, so Keely and Krista, you are the winners. And I see it in a list right here. So the first 2 people, there you go. Krista right there and Keely right there. It was Keely and Krista that got it. Well done. Well done. Well done. Thank you for being here for this time and for participating, but also just for everything that you do for public safety, for our great profession in this career of 911. Thank you. Thank you. We might just have to do that, Krista. We'll figure something out. So again, thank you for everything that you do, for being here, for listening, and for the support. I can't thank you all enough. Make sure to look out for Dare to Be Great 5. Join the community. A lot of different things that are going to be coming up, and I'm excited for all of it. Also, 8-hour classes that I'm putting out there, and other courses that I might be putting out online as well. And so keep an eye out for it. And this has been fun. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you had fun. Um, Again, I've been wanting to do this for a while, a behind the scenes, a book reading, going through the process, everything that happened. And if you haven't done so already, um, make sure to follow Hero Light Training, and that is by Tracy Ertl, and also Titletown Publishing. Because without them, without Tracy, and her fabulous team, the book wouldn't have come out the way it did, and everything else. I have them to thank so very much. So make sure to follow them and let them know that Ricardo sent you. All right. So if you have any comments, questions, or you ever want to be a guest in the flagship show, you can email us, and that's going to be WTTpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that is WTTpodcast@gmail.com. That's William Tom podcast. Got to throw in the phonetics at gmail.com. If you want to help support the podcast as well, you can do so either by going to Patreon or Facebook. But to make it easier for all of you, you can just simply go to links.co/WTT podcast. And that's links with two eyes.co/WTT podcast. You'll find everything on there. You'll find my email, all of my social media, where to follow, the latest episode of the podcast, where to buy the first Imagine Listening book, as well as the second one to be able to pre-order. And then if you want to become a supporter, you can go there as well. And then the shop is on there as well. So it's all in one place. Again, it's links with two eyes.co/WTT podcast. And in just about an hour or so, I will be uploading and making available for purchase the I Am 911 journal for you all to have to write down your stories, your wins, any of it. And then, of course, this shirt as well will be on there, along with a lot of other stuff that is already on there already. So thank you all again. This can be seen on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, as well as Twitter. And then to listen 24/7 to the podcast, you can listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, your favorite podcasting app, and withinthetrenches.net. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you so very much. And Keely and Krista, I'll be getting a hold of you here pretty soon for your book bundles. Have an excellent day, everyone, and I will see you all in the next one.